Welcome back to Naps and Taps. Shit, I've forgotten the number again. I'm pretty sure it's 6.
Episode 2 of 2019.
We'll go with that. I can't believe I made that amateurish mistake twice in a row. But anyway, what's been going on?
Pretty good. I've been uploading a fair bit of songs, doing a lot of collaboration with other musicians, other instrumentalists. I asked them if I can use their instrumentations for covers. They get yes, and recording songs and posting them all over Instagram, YouTube, just whoring myself out, all channels.
How many times do you post a day?
Well, sometimes if I don't have any new songs, I'll just repost.
Yeah.
You know? And I try to make it consistent. I try to post something every day.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Every day, but like some days you kind of like comes thick and fast, and some days just one.
I always wonder what the...
It could be like it could be Instagram's algorithm.
Yeah.
Like giving me all your stuff at once, so I don't generally pay attention to the actual time it was posted.
Oh yeah.
Which I kind of could.
It's interesting to know like how the people react to it, you know, like how other people are getting it, because I'm just spamming it out there, so I don't know, because maybe you follow me, so you're probably getting more stuff. So
I think like once every 8 hours is kind of like a good rule for like, but you don't want to be posting shit every hour. So people will start being like, oh fuck, I'm just gonna scroll past this.
I'm trying to get more followers, but it seems like the more I post, the more followers I lose.
Yeah, exactly. People get sick of it.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just this fine line of spamming and friendly reminder that I'm still out there.
Yeah, exactly. You don't. That's the thing. Like you don't want to
flirt the line.
If you only post once a week, then people will be like, "Does this guy still exist?" Or
exactly. Is he actually taking this seriously?
Yeah.
But if you spam too much, and people are like, "Oh, him again."
Yeah.
You can never win.
Anyway, so that's cool. What else is being? Actually, what kind of like what's some of the latest stuff you've been doing? Like, what songs have you been putting out? Who you've been covering?
Stone Temple Pilots. I've been getting. I'm a real sort of nostalgic historical guy.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people are let's look for new music. I'm always the guy who's like, let's look back at like 20 years ago and try to find some good stuff 20 years ago. I'm that guy who's always trying to like do covers, because you know I'm a singer, so I don't want to get bogged down with all the instrumentations. I just want all the tracks ready to go, and then I'll just sing over it, take all the credit. You know, don't need to worry about how many bars should the verse be and the chorus. Forget that. I want all the instrumentations out. So I go back and the thing is, with music, it's almost like when you revisit old music, it's kind of like a little flip through the history books, you know? Like, because rock stars nowadays, they're dropping like flies. You don't know who's going to be around. Actually, no one's around anymore, really. I can probably count on one hand the real remaining rock stars.
It's a very hazardous occupation.
Exactly. Yeah, very very high attrition rate and suicide rate, especially suicide rate. So I go back. I've been getting into. Do you know Stone Temple Pilots? Scott
You remember I'm like 10 years older than you. It kind of like it buzzes me out that this is retro to you, whereas like it's stuff that I actually grew up on, like the first time around.
Exactly. Because I got into those bands late. Because when I got into music, I was in my late teens and 20s, and those bands were almost broken up, you know, like Guns N' Roses, Stone Temple Pilots, Velvet Revolver, a lot of, let's see,
it makes like an old man like me feel good, because everyone thinks
Alice in Chains, Pearl Jam.
It makes like every generation thinks that their music is the best, so to actually have like a younger buck kind of showing up and being like, yeah, actually your generation's music was pretty rad. Actually,
no, it's the best. I think this generation, my generation's music is just dog shit.
Yeah,
it's really really bad, and it's progressing, and it's getting worse. Yeah. You know, like they're taking all the soul and all the instruments out of music. I mean, as much as I despise working on instrumentations and all that, like you gotta have a certain respect for the players, you know, the players of music, you know, like the craftsmanship and the time and the dedication it takes to learn drums and then play them on beat and play them along with the song. And now it's all computers. Now it's all like SoundCloud rappers, you know. I can't even find another singer. Like, just sing, because singing itself is a craft, right? I mean, probably not as much as, like, piano or drums or anything, but, like, when you sort of water down everything into just a beat and, like, talking, which is pretty much what rapping is, so talking really fast and rhyming, then you're taking all the musical qualities out of music. You're just slowly stripping it down into all just the skeleton and a shell.
I like hip hop too, though, so I gotta stick up. It's a tougher thing to do than it looks. I like lose my breath pretty quickly, even when I try and rap along to songs.
For sure. But it seems like there's just hip hop, you know. Like hip hop is great, but I don't want all the other stuff to. It's like having a Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah.
All the other movies should have a place as well in the theater, right? I mean, it's great to watch superhero movies, but it's also great to watch some indies and some horror films or some whatever. Just trying to keep the other genres alive.
That's fair.
I don't think I need to contribute more to hip hop.
Yeah.
I don't think they're having a shortage of people working on hip hop music or rap or whatever.
That's true.
So I'll just find my own little pigeonhole.
Definitely got enough people working on it. So what else has been going on? It's probably been about a week and a half since we recorded. You been rolling?
Yeah, I've been rolling a lot.
Yeah.
I feel like I need to get back into the swing of things again, because I think the holidays and going to Hong Kong really sort of being lazy and eating well but in jiu-jitsu terms it's eating like shit.
Yeah.
Eating well in human terms, but in jiu-jitsu terms it's
having fun eating.
Yeah, exactly.
Tasty
enjoying eating.
I knew you were kind of like looking to get back in the swing of it. I felt bad yesterday. I was trying, for everyone else out there, I was trying to tee up the time for this, and I was like, "What do you want to do tomorrow? Do you want to do Thursday? What time do you want to do?" And you're just like, "Fucking stop trying to talk to me."
Exactly. I was like right in front of the bathroom trying to get some water into my body because I'm slowly dehydrating. Oh, but tomorrow I can do 5, and if you can just text me. I can do it.
That's why you should have a water bottle. I'd already downed.
I do have a water.
I downed like half my water bottle, and I was like, okay, I'm alright. And you're like red in the face. I'm like, oh, so Thursday, Wednesday, we should probably do another podcast. Yeah. You're just like, fuck, leave me alone, man.
People who do jiu-jitsu know the windows of opportunity you can approach someone. You know? Like before a roll, perfect. After a roll, you just gotta kind of like just leave them alone for like half a minute. And
I've done a roll, and I'm 10 years older than you. What's your excuse?
It was the people I lined up with. I don't know, because like from 8 to 9, you don't do 8 to 9 that much, right?
But no, not that often.
From 8 to 9, it's free for all. You can do anything you want. I lined up like 3 black belts.
Yeah.
And then like after I saw you, and then that was my first blue belt after 3.
That's probably fit. To be fair, like I did the drilling class before, but because of that, I had one roll. Then I had a round off because I'd already done the class. Then I had another roll, and then I saw you, so I'd had that one off. Before, but I'd just come off one. But even then, the one I'd come off with was like a brown belt who didn't really go too hard on me. He was kind of like, just practicing all his techniques and
I appreciate those higher levels who give us a few seconds to think. But the blue belt who I roll with after all those black belts I rolled with, he was the one that he saw that I was exhausted. He saw on my face that I was not 100%, and he just went ape shit on me.
I forgot it. It's like, is he the guy with the English accent?
No. Matt. Oh, I know him, Matt. Yeah. English guy, like real tough guy, like a bouncer looking dude, right?
No, we're thinking of a different dude. There's another guy with an English accent. He doesn't look super tough, but like he's just real intense. Like when he rolls, like there's one of the
short hair.
Yeah, kind of, and like
mid-20s. I think
I think so. He's the one who fucking wrist locked me, and it's still sore.
Really, I think it might be him.
There's some dudes that you get
because I've known him since white belt, so maybe that's why you don't think he's all cause, like I know that he's a bouncer and all that shit. So maybe like all that information made me think.
Maybe we could be thinking of a different dude, because I mean, like he beat the shit out of me when we were rolling. So who am I to call him tough or not call him tough? But he doesn't like look like the stereotypical intimidating dude. Is all I'm saying.
Doesn't look super tough.
He's definitely tougher than me, and I've got to get that out there in case he ever wants to roll with me again. And he thinks he's like, oh, you're not calling me not tough. I'll fucking prove a point to you. I don't want that. That dude's so like there's some dudes who are just like every roll at the club is like the first day of a tournament. You're like, easy now.
Yeah, because jiu-jitsu just invites all kinds of level of interests and practitioners. Like I'm there to mainly maintain my weight so I don't just bloat and expand horizontally. That's really my primary goal. Some guys want to be world champions, and when I get mixed up with those guys, it's just like a two different sports almost.
It can be a bad look. I was going to say, have you caught up with? I know you're.
But my cardio has always been my biggest problem. Yeah. Like my cardio is so bad. Yeah. So I gas out really easily.
That's the struggle, is getting to an actual weights room gym or something, or doing some damn cardio outside of jiu-jitsu. What's up, Kuma? What's going on?
But the thing is, I've been okay with regular cardio, but there's something about jiu-jitsu cardio, because you're using muscles that you don't normally, like your back muscles and your shoulder muscles and your hips, and you're trying to move like that. Because I can run.
Yeah.
Like long distance, I'm probably not fast, but I'll just last, just slowly trot.
Do you do like deadlifts or anything like that in the gym?
In the gym, no, I used to.
Deadlifts is a great one.
You find those help?
Yeah, definitely. Like I don't do them enough, but I got a trainer that I saw very briefly was kind of like put me on to like doing those, because it's kind of like that extension of doing a deadlift is like a lot kind of replicates that movement, especially like it's kind of like
which movement?
Well, like if you have someone in your full guard or half guard, like the kind of like the extension of like stretching your back out is kind of the same as being on the ground and trying to extend your feet out or whatever to sweep.
If I managed to get someone in my full guard, which I never did, especially rolling with higher levels.
Yeah. The other week I had such a nightmare of like sometimes you've just got to appreciate who your opponent is. Like I was on. Started off with this dude who was like, I won't beat around the bush. He's like a heavy dude. Like he's a lot more heavy set than the rest of us. And like I had this bright idea of like pulling him into guard, and I got him into guard okay, and had him in full guard. And I was like, closing the guard means locking your feet.
Yeah.
And now here I am on the ground with this heavy dude, and I literally couldn't wrap my feet around to lock my feet.
It's that wide, huh?
And I'm like, great, now I'm just going to... And he just like grabbed my arm and started to, go...
Stack pass?
No. He just pretty much stack passed and... why am I'm mind blanking on like a technique I definitely... know the name of.
Knee slice?
No. Well, he grabbed my arm and just basically...
Oh, Kimura.
Yeah. Kimura, exactly. Yeah. He just kind of stacked past
From your full guard? Wow.
Well, the fact that I didn't have a full guard, but he kind of like pushed it above my head.
Oh, that's an Americana.
Yeah.
This is a Kimura.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But rolling with a lot of higher belts, like especially, it's nice to have a jiu-jitsu mentor.
Yeah.
It's obviously nice to have a coach, but then like when the coach is not around, it's good to have like a in like Shaolin words, it's kind of like a big brother.
Yeah,
it's kind of like an older mentor, like a higher belt who's like looking out for you. Like I have this guy. Shit, it's terrible that I forgot his name. I think his name is Robert. But I roll with him every time I go to the 8:00 class. I roll with him first.
Yeah,
and I think it's something he wants to warm up with me, and I want to train with a brown belt, whatever. So. Yesterday after class, he gave me like a lot of tips and a lot of conceptual knowledge about jiu-jitsu, about the passing, and it really helped. Because when I was rolling with David Wilcox, he called out my flaws, like the same that Robert said. Like I wasn't putting enough weight down. I wasn't stretching out his legs enough to make him uncomfortable and passing my knees, and I managed to get people's spider guard and stopping my passing, all kinds of problems that I have, but maybe try to make nice with some of the people that you respect and who beat you and who are technically sound, and you can. A
couple of the purple belts have been looking out for me and giving me tips, and it's been helping. And I have a fellow blue who is like a good training partner for at least the drills and stuff. So that's been kind of happening. So.
Have you been doing any stand-up classes yet, or you're thinking about it?
Yeah, I did I've enrolled for the next semester at Second City, starting like the first week of March.
Stand-up class? Or
stand-up. I've been to a couple of the drop-ins now. Both the teachers I had were pretty good. I learned a lot of different writing techniques from the two of them. Sorry, I think I've found like one of my potato chips still sitting back there.
Do you practice your stand-up often, or do you write often, or do you rehearse often?
Don't write as often as I should, to be honest, but I've been trying to get into more of a habit of it. I did do, like last time we were on here, I said I was going to do stand-up and an open mic on the Monday, and I did get along and do that at Whalers on St. Clair. I probably won't go this Monday, but I might go the next. I'll try and go to that semi-regularly.
How's the crowd there?
It was like, I was there like not this Monday where it was brutal and cold, but it was pretty bad the Monday before. So to be fair, it was kind of an okay crowd for just how brutal the weather was. So I'm going to keep going back there, and as the weather improves, it should get better. There are probably about sort of like, half a dozen comics and like a bunch that got whittled down because a bunch left kind of as I was getting there. I went to the gym beforehand, but like, so the room I performed in front of was like half a dozen comics, and as you know, comics don't really give a shit about anyone else's set. But there were like, you know, about 4 or 5 actual regular people there. Two of them being like definite just regulars who were off the street, and sort of 2 or 3 of them being like friends of the bartender / the owner who were kind of hanging out by the bar. But it was good because I kind of had like people to sort of address different points to, and like, you know, I got some laughs, and I managed for the first time I actually did a set without like looking at my phone, which is nice, to sort of, you know, step further there. It's material that I've all done before. But
what's your writing process like? Because when I used to do it, I just get like really high and then just write whatever makes me giggle and makes me laugh. I rarely write without the influence.
I pretty much write straight because I'm not like I don't do weed that much or anything, but I think I should try out weed chocolate. It might help with like the edibles. I'm not really like I don't like, I'm completely fine with marijuana as a principle. Like, I got nothing against it. I just don't actually enjoy the physical process of smoking. So could try some edibles for writing. It might help. Keep you posted on that if it gives me any good ideas.
Do you have anybody to try out your material first before you take it to the stage?
Not anymore. I mean, I used to.
A girlfriend.
Yeah, I pretty much used to like try it out on my ex all the time.
Yeah.
And you know, but I don't have anyone that is especially fills that role. But I've got a couple of buddies that, like, you know, are into stand up too, or they're just like good cheap laughs. So I'll like kind of, sometimes I even like, instead of running a whole bit at people, I'll just slip things in conversation. If I think it's a tag or a punchline, I'll sort of slip things into conversation to see if it's funny to them in that environment. Then I'm like, okay, well, if the basic premise works well at making someone laugh in a conversation, then I'll develop it more. So sorry to all my friends out there that are now learning that like half the shit I say to them in conversation is premeditated, as opposed to the genuine art of conversation and enjoying someone's company.
That's the life of a comedian. Yeah. You know? They just they go around knocking over things and try to make everybody else as uncomfortable as possible for their own personal benefit.
Exactly. I've even started like doing stuff like normally when I'm taking public transport or whatever, I just like to have headphones or earbuds and not pay any attention to these morons that I'm sharing the steel tube with or whatever. But I'm kind of like, these morons are often like a good source of like, you know, they're a good
experimentation.
Yeah. Well,
I find myself doing that all the time. Like, if I meet someone just random.
I don't experiment with strangers. It's more like I want to listen to the shit these idiots are saying.
Oh, okay.
And then be like, I heard these morons saying this on the bus the other day. You know. Anyway,
I do it like before. When I was doing stand-up quite regular, almost full-time, like I put music on hold. And I would test out my material on my ex-girlfriend, pretty much like you. But we were like really close, and we were friends. And she was in Germany, right? So I would just call her and then just test out my material over the phone.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, because like doing that makes it even harder, I felt. You know, because doing it over the phone, she doesn't get to see it. She doesn't get to the visual aspect of it. So only the words and the way I deliver it matters to her. So if I get a laugh that way, I know that this is a solid bit because it's only audio. So if I can add some visual to it, that'll be that I can embellish that a little bit. But if it works on the audio, then I know I'm keeping it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how I know.
It's kind of like, and I mean, I'm not really like at these open mic nights. Like, I'm not really shy. Like, if I've written something and I think it's kind of good, then I'll just do it without field testing it with my buddies or whatever. I'm kind of like, I really want to. There's one that I'm really kind of stuck on, and maybe like I keep kind of some of my material.
But then the thing is, you gotta know that even if it doesn't work in an open mic, it's not the joke's fault, you know.
Exactly.
Because it's so random. It's like chaotic. This whole open mic or comedy. I mean, when you're a more established comic, I guess you can sort of. Weigh in the crowd, the audience's respond a little more. Yeah. But I think for like people starting out or people like us, like unknowns, we can't really rely on the audience as honest feedback.
Half the time you don't have one.
Exactly. Half the time you don't have one, and it's just so sparse how you're getting like a response that it's not reliable. Because. Like I told you, I can kill with one bit and do the same bit the same way and totally bomb. So hard that I get like booed off stage. Yeah. So whatever. I mean, I'm not saying you're gonna get discouraged, but if something doesn't work on stage, it doesn't mean it's bad at all.
Yeah, yeah. No, I've been feeling pretty good about it, and feeling pretty sort of like determined to stay the course. Like I said, I probably won't go to Whalers next week, probably the week after that, but I think next week, maybe even Wednesday.
But that's like trying your jokes out on random people, like I said before, like meeting random people, so they're completely off guard. They don't know that you're a comedian.
Yeah.
You know, they don't know that you've got premeditated, pre-written jokes. So like, I try to make everybody, like, I come across like a waiter, for example, or a concierge, or someone at a retail store, and I'm just trying to strike up a conversation and try to make them laugh.
Yeah, I definitely because I've been working as a concierge for almost a year now. I definitely occasionally run bits on some of the residents without them even realizing I'm doing it.
Exactly, and that's how you know that, like, because it's a totally honest experience.
Yeah.
You know, they're not looking out for, like, some audiences that go to a comedy club and they have this attitude, right? They're like, oh yeah, let's see how good you are.
Yeah, make me laugh.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so they're not really. Comedy is kind of like.
It's kind of fair though. It's not like I'm charging anyone $10 at the concierge desk.
Well, you're not charging anyone for the open mics yet.
Yeah,
right?
that's
exactly.
true. But yeah.
So like, comedy for me, it's more unstaged and unscripted than a lot of other art forms. It's a lot of improvisation. It's a lot of spontaneity. It's a lot of just. Because some of the funniest things that happen to me or that I witness are, it just happens.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, phone break. All right, well, we're back. Normally I'd tell you off for not turning off your phone, but we knew that your girlfriend was going to need to get in here badly to poo, and we can't have her pooing herself in the hallway, so, you know, we'll forgive that and allow that and roll on
just
with the
this
podcast.
Once. Just this once.
Yeah.
Yeah, not going to happen again.
Exactly. It's all right. So,
not a public restroom.
Anyway, while we're having a break, we're talking about comedy as therapy, which is true for both, like
the comedian and
the audience. Yeah. Today is Bell Let's Talk Day, which is in some ways kind of gross that we need a telecommunications company to give us a hashtag for us to talk about these issues.
It seems kind of sinister that a fucking phone company wants to get in on mental health issues.
But in other ways, it's sometimes you just got to not look the gift horse in the mouth. Like, the issue's being talked about and money's being contributed to it. So let's just, I don't know.
Have you ever contributed
I ride the wave of cynicism and just being glad that it's talked about on a day like today.
Have you participated in Let's Talk Day in any way?
I
know that it's on Facebook and stuff, but I've never really participated.
Well, I mean, I wrote like a kind of open letter to all my Facebook buddies and then took a screenshot of it for my Twitter account. So I did the Twitter account with the hashtag, which gets its little 5 cents donation for each time the hashtag gets used. So I contributed all of exactly 5 cents plus my emotional input. I basically, like, I don't want to read out the whole letter on here because those who know me, or actually the general public, can find my Twitter handle. It'll be in like the description of this video if you want to read the what I wrote, so you can do it there. But basically kind of what I said is, like, I've been seeing a therapist since about April last year. It's done me a lot of good, and kind of the thing I was writing about is, like, I just wanted to sort of smash the, you just want to try and break the stigma a little. Like, I mean, the stigma. It's, I was scared to do it for a long time because I thought of mental health as just being kind of binary. Like, I thought you're kind of either really messed up or not messed up at all. And I was kind of like, I'm not messed up enough to see a therapist, but I'm kind of like, I need a little bit of help. So I was like, the way I saw it was like, you can either have a major surgery or take a trip to the pharmacy, or something I wrote in my letter. And I think and buy something over the counter. I think I'd been putting off that trip to the pharmacy for a long time. Like, I was scared of finding more at the therapist. But I just worked through a few little issues, and I don't have but even then, looking back on it, I kind of, it would have been nice to know if I had big things. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to.
How's your relationship with your therapist? Good?
Yeah, pretty good. She's a good person and she helps me out a lot.
That's good.
And I just kind of wanted to sort of put it out there for my friends to sort of say, hey, I don't want to be a poster child for this. This isn't a cry for help. My life's pretty good at the moment. But I just kind of wanted to say, hey, I do this and it's a normal thing to do. I thought it should be as normal as going to the doctor for a physical ailment. So that's kind of like,
Finding a good therapist is the key to having a good having good therapy. Having good, because believe it or not, this is kind of a funny story. One of my therapists actually had a confrontation with me and then stormed out on me right here. Here. Yeah, I was. This is funny that you brought it up, because I was talking to. Do you know who Merlin is from BJJ? Chinese guy, skinny, tall. He's actually a therapist.
No, it doesn't ring a bell.
He did psychology in U of T, and now he's kind of like a junior associate, like an intern, climbing up the ranks.
How do you make a therapist walk out on you if that's not too private?
No. I was gonna tell you. So, this therapist was from Wood Green. I don't mind saying, because it was just such a bad. So Wood Green has. Do you know Wood Green, the organization?
No, I'm not.
So okay, doesn't matter anyway. So it's just one of these nonprofits, therapists that. My mom actually wanted me to try him out, because she had an ex-colleague who works for Wood Green, and they were sending out therapists to people's places, so you don't have to go. So I was like, oh, this is great. Just like, all I gotta do is open the door and they'll come. And it's gonna be nice and free and convenient. And this guy was a Chinese guy, Taiwanese, Chinese, same thing. No disrespect to Taiwan, but it's the truth. And he hasn't been a therapist all his life. He's one of those, like, he was in business for the longest time, and then he just decided he needed a change, like a midlife crisis thing. So he's only been a therapist for like 5-6 years. And I think there's something about, I think, like, it's not a good idea to get a Chinese therapist. Because it's just, the way that they think, because they're always going to try to, it's very cultural, like, it's so crazy. Like, when I was talking to him, it felt like I was talking to my mom. Which was what I needed therapy for. You know what I mean? Like, I needed therapy from all the shit that I had with my family. Like, I've been fighting with my family too much. The fact that I'm here, the fact that I put 6,000 miles between me and my family. Like, that's what I need the therapy for. And then I was talking to him, and it sounded like words coming out of my father and my mom, because he was exactly of age. Like, he's in his 50s and 60s, so that's like my parents' age. And then he sees me as like a junior, so kind of like this, not really condescending, but kind of like this, like, I know better, I know more, parental. He's got this parental eyes on me. Like a good therapist, because I've had other therapists before. You know, they see you as more or less equals. You know, you're kind of talking like on a friend's basis. That they're listening more, instead of like, oh, every other sentence I'm gonna give you some advice because I know better. You know? So that was what was going on with him, and he was just trying to solve all my problems with telling me to find a job that I don't want. Like, finding me to, so what are you going to do if your business doesn't work out? So what are you going to do if your music doesn't work out? So what are you going to do if your comedy? Like, that's not what I want to hear. That's not what I need to hear. And that's like that's what I've been hearing my whole life. Exactly. From word for word, almost. There's some things that he said that almost, quote unquote, triggered me. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So, like, and then it got to so bad that because when he was doing it and I was triggered, so I started raising my voice a little bit. I was like, I want to get my point across. I was like, this is not what I want to hear. This is not, like, all you're telling me to do is abandon all the things I like and do all the things I hate. That's your idea of helping me in therapy. And so, and then he literally he was right here and he just got up and left. So I'm
guessing it's probably not going to last as a therapist.
I don't know, man. And he was saying that he was talking to his other therapist and that I was one of his problem clients. I was like, I'm not even I don't even have real problems. You know, I have like first world problems, right? It's not like I'm on the streets. It's not like I'm prostituting myself for drugs or anything. I don't have any real legitimate concerns that people need an intervention on. I'm just a guy who's like kind of like, oh no, I don't want to do what I don't want to do and all that stuff. And he's already saying like, oh, I'm having trouble with you and I'm talking to my other colleagues about you and don't know what to do about you. And I was like, it doesn't seem like you're in the right profession, right? All the things that you said to me back at you, right? It doesn't seem like you really know what you're doing here. And then so like I started to like kind of jab at him a little bit about how he's not good at his job, and then he just stormed out and left. And I told Merlin this story, and he was like, "What? I can't believe it." And so I was like, yeah, if there's any, because I was talking to him about my experiences with therapists, and so he was like, yeah, please tell me what you think of your experiences so I can improve as a therapist. So I was like, well, rule number 1, don't walk out on your clients. You know, just as long as you don't give up on them, I'm pretty sure you can make it pretty good. Because being a therapist is not rocket. You just listen.
Yeah.
You know, there's not much to it. You know, I'm sure there's a lot of background work. And
I don't think I could do it, to be honest. Like, I think
it takes like a saint-like level of tolerance. It takes a lot of understanding and listening and patience, which that guy clearly doesn't have. So it's a lot of personality traits that makes a good therapist more so than the educational background.
Yeah.
You need to be that kind of person. That's why I think women make great therapists.
Yeah, mine's like, you know, I'm seeing a woman at the moment around my age.
Yeah.
Give maybe a year or two younger or a year or two older, hard to tell.
Yeah.
But, you know, she's a really good listener. And, like, sometimes, like, I kind of think that for her, maybe she might not even suggest stuff enough. Like, your guy was suggesting too much and kind of being your parents and triggering you, as you say. But mine kind of, like, almost doesn't suggest anything. It's just like, and how did that make you feel? And how did that make you feel? And then, like...
Maybe she was still kind of working up to it.
Yeah,
She's still kind of young for a therapist.
Yeah, maybe.
Because one of my best therapists was this older Dutch lady who's basically retired from therapy, and she's just doing it part-time to do something. You know? So she was very well versed in all that stuff, and we were talking... And she was old. She was like my grandmother's age. So she was just this, like, almost Zen, like Yoda type person. You know? And ooh, is that right? And she was kind of like laughing and kind of just real like nurturing, motherly feeling, but not in that, you know, that exactly. Lecture style.
It's the mother you actually want.
Almost like the mother I actually wanted as someone in my family. Yeah. So yeah, it's like finding a good therapist again. It's kind of like a luck of the draw thing. And having a good relationship with your therapist that can be monumental to someone's life or anybody's life choices, decisions, career, or whatever. Because they can give crazy. They can alter your path. They can change your. They can
I definitely recommend it to anyone if they feel they need it. Don't be scared.
But if you find a bad one, cut ties right away. You know, if you're not feeling the camaraderie, the friendship, if you can't fully trust someone, because it's such a personal relationship with a therapist. If you can't trust someone 100%, you should just find someone else.
Exactly.
You know? Don't feel like it's your fault or it's the therapist's fault. It's just a not match.
Exactly. Don't feel obligated to, like, you know, stay in a position you don't.
And if you feel like your therapist isn't maybe giving you enough advice, you can either ask her to contribute more or find another one. There's no harm. I'm sure they don't take offense or they don't take things personally.
I'm reasonably happy with my one, but you know, it's just like kind of a balance thing. But you know, it's been going okay so far, and I kind of even though a phone company needed to put up a hashtag, I hope a few more people talk about it, and like, you know, I tried to spread it to New Zealand and around the world with my Facebook network and that. So hopefully, you know, it's kind of a thing that needs to be just talked about a little more and just kind of normalized a little more. Like, I've kind of lost 2 friends to depression, and I hope that I don't lose any more.
Suicide?
By depression I mean that. So it's kind of like two friends was too many, and it's the ones that you never saw it coming with either one of them. I don't want to go into specifics for, you know, privacy reasons for them and whatnot. They're not here anymore to consent to being talked about on a podcast, but you know,
even like, I mean, all kinds of mental illness. Depression is just one of them, right? Because I have a friend who I have a close friend who lost a close friend to anorexia. Now that's a whole other animal, but it's still in the mental illness umbrella, right? But she was just this girl. Obviously, she was like 16, 15, something like that, and she was just starving herself to death. And everybody was telling her to eat more, but she just couldn't. She couldn't. You know, it was like that thing. And then she just like literally just fucking vanished. You know? And that is a whole other area of mental health that, you know, it's more commonplace than we think, obviously, because, you know, people are making a big deal about you know, women in media and how women are portrayed, which sometimes I believe it gets blown out of proportion a lot. But then when you see you know, girls, mainly young girls, getting so seriously negatively affected by that, that's when I think more people should pay more attention. But then I don't know if the media is exactly to blame for that, because it's hard to pinpoint, and you know, that's something that's so deep ingrained. Like when you look in the mirror and you're just like body dysmorphia. You know, people with plastic surgery addiction, that's another form of mental illness.
I think it's kind of like, I think there's like there's no one person or entity that's to blame for any of that stuff. I shouldn't speak on it too much because I'm not a woman, but it's kind of like it's up to friends and family to have discussions with people about what's actually real and what they're seeing in the media, and maybe it is on the media and movie industries to sort of show more than one type of person as well.
But I think,
I would like to see a lot less photoshopping. Like I see I see beautiful women just in Toronto all the time. I don't know why magazine covers need to Photoshop women who are already beautiful to death. That's probably one thing that I'd like to see gone right away. Like
but you don't see men getting that. Like they're really, it's a huge disparity. Like I would never look at a magazine with a six pack and like Ryan Gosling or whatever, Hugh Jackman and Thor or whatever, and be like, oh, what can I do? You know, it's not so much a male problem.
It's probably like, I think that's like a societal thing that's hard for me to understand or explain on this podcast, but like the images of men are unrealistic in the media, but there's just like less. That's why I'm saying it's a joint responsibility between friends, family, to do their own thing, and the media as well. But there's like kind of like all the societal pressure. You know, there's images of beautiful women and handsome men in Hollywood and magazines, but there's less pressure put on young men to be like those guys than there is put on young women downwards to be like those images.
Well, it's very hard to quantify pressure, right? To like what kind of pressure that men get. Men get pressured in all kinds of ways that aren't just appearance-wise. I think a lot of it is just we're all vulnerable, right? We all have weaknesses, and a lot of these vulnerabilities and weaknesses manifest in different ways.
Yeah,
I'm sure men are destructive in a lot of other ways. You know, we don't starve ourselves, but we probably drink too much. You know, I'm sure. Like I think the alcohol poisoning rate is a lot higher in men. I'm not. I'm just guessing. I think it makes sense if I think that. As well. Alcohol probably actually no, it harms women just as much as men. I mean, it's poison, but mental illness can manifest in so many different ways. It's addiction is a huge sign of that, as a symptom of mental illness, and any kind of people can get addicted to anything. You know?
I'm hoping it'll just be BJJ. No substances.
Well,
it'll be my addiction.
Having a good healthy addiction is the perfect counter to it. You know, when you devote all your time and energy to something healthy, it's the perfect counter to a drug addiction. Because how do people stop smoking? They do something else. They either smoke something else, or they chew an apple, or they chew some gum, or they have to find a replacement. It's rarely do people completely cut off an addiction and then not replace it with something. Right? Or some unhealthier alternative.
Exactly. You got to. So that's our little Bell Let's Talk. Good talk. I know you're like not as much in the MMA world as I am, but did you see suspensions got handed down to McGregor and Nurmagomedov for the fight, for the melee after the fight?
Fill me in on that.
We got like 9 months suspension for Khabib, but retroactive. So his suspension will be up in like early July, and McGregor got like a shorter suspension and like a $50,000 fine. The more interesting part was like Conor McGregor was on his Twitter account almost instantly trolling the Khabib's camp. You know, he was like, he tweeted something about like, I didn't want to land the last blow of the night, but I had to, and he's like tweeting pictures of him like punching like Khabib's cousins and cornermen. And it's the fallout will be interesting because like, you know, Khabib's now basically saying that he's never going to fight in Vegas again because of not the ban for him, the ban for his cousins. His cousins were like banned from being involved in UFC events in Nevada for a year. So he's basically sort of come out and said, unless you repeal the ban for these two, I'm never fighting in Nevada again. And it was kind of interesting to me because as soon as I saw the ban dates, Khabib's ban finishes right before what would normally be International Fight Week in Vegas. Like they have like 3-4 days of expo stuff and like, you know, public meet and greets, and then like the Tough Fighter final on the Friday, and then a big UFC pay-per-view on the Saturday. And I was like, so you're saying you've had a suspension finish just in time for International Fight Week? And of course that's an event in Nevada. This is the Nevada State Athletic Commission that's handing out each of these suspensions. But to counter that, like McGregor's suspension is too long to have him come back for the Nevada event in March, but he would be eligible to fight on a card in April, and they're talking about like Cowboy Cerrone and all sorts of stuff for that. But looks like Khabib's kind of like dancing to his own drum there, and I think he still doesn't care, like he's still kind of unrepentant. But it was interesting to see Conor like actively trolling his camp when. And he said something about how he got the last laugh, and it's like, dude, you got choked out in front of millions of people. I kind of consider getting manhandled for 4 rounds and then having to tap. Like, that's kind of the really last laugh, but
yeah,
it is what it is.
These fighters have probably the biggest ego problem in of all the industries out there. Like, musicians have a huge ego problem, but fighters is just on a whole other planet.
It's kind of crazy how the UFC has that, whereas like all the other subsets of it, like, you know, Jiu-Jitsu, etc., it's all like, you know, meant to handle things with humility, bit of grace, humble. And then you get on the big stage. And
even exactly like remember when I was talking to you about all the top jiu-jitsu guys you don't quite know, like Gordon Ryan and all these other big name jiu-jitsu guys. As great as they are in jiu-jitsu, they're the most arrogant people you've ever met.
I was actually reading, did you read, there's a latest there's an interview with Josh do you say Hinger or Hinger? How do you say his name?
Who are you talking about?
Josh, you know, he's like if I can't pronounce his last name, it's going to be hard for me to say who I'm talking about, but like, spelt Singer, but with an H in front of it, Josh Hinger.
Oh, okay.
He's like he's a don at No-Gi Jiu-Jitsu.
Okay.
He was like talking about it, he was being interviewed about that, and he was talking about how he hates the trash talk from like, you know,
all these guys,
other jiu-jitsu practitioners.
Yeah.
And he's like, and especially it's like dudes that like he's almost untouchable in the no-gi game, and it's like still trash talk from all these guys that he kind of fucks up. So
really,
it's like,
really, yeah. Because from what I read, Gordon Ryan is the number one.
Yeah.
No-gi grappler.
Maybe it's the other way around, because I was reading in the interview like he's Hinger has fought Ryan 4 times, 3 times with a gi and 1 time with no gi, and they're both top. Maybe Hinger's top of gi, but they've fought each other 4 times, and I think Ryan has won 3 of them. But like they've fought 3 times in one discipline and 1 time in the other discipline, and one guy's won all 3 times in the other in the first discipline, whichever one it is, because I'm getting my wires crossed now. And the other guy's won the other one in like his discipline.
I think the ego comes in the business side of the fighting game. You know, it doesn't really have a place in the on the mats. Yeah. But in terms of drawing, and in terms of market, that's when you need the arrogance and the ego.
Yeah, I guess that's what they were saying. But I mean, like, I personally wouldn't watch jiu-jitsu for that. But I don't watch as much jiu-jitsu as you. So it's, man, do you want to like close up that window so I can keep a track of our time?
Sometimes I just bounce us up.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was kind of an interesting read for me, and he talked a little bit about his Kimura technique, and that was interesting.
But the thing is, fighters need to have that kind of confidence. Yeah. Like, the what they do for a living, you can't have someone who's humble. It just doesn't make sense. Like we talked about having the right personality trait for a job. Yeah. Like, you need to be patient and understanding for a therapist, and you need to be arrogant and egotistical for a successful
It's weird.
fighter.
They kind of have to appear, people want them to appear humble and zen on the outside, but if you didn't believe, like, it's such punishment to put yourself through.
Exactly.
Even the ones who are like even the ones who aren't even going to ever crank the top 15 in the UFC, why would you do it for just a paycheck? Like, they could probably earn decent money, like running a gym in their hometown.
Yeah.
Like, it would seem insanity to me to enter that kind of arena without thinking, I'm going to be number 1. I'm going to get that belt one day. This is just stepping stones to me getting that belt. Yeah. Like, it's, you know, so you have to have that. It'd be insanity to do it and not have it.
I kind of think that it's great for all kinds of solo endeavors.
Yeah.
Like tennis or like race car drivers or like boxers and fighters, because like when you have that, because you don't have the camaraderie of a team to kind of back you up and to kind of rely on other people when you're not on your game and all that stuff, right? So a tennis player, if you're not on point, you're not on point. You're just gonna lose, and if you make a mistake fighting, you're just gonna get knocked out. So that ego and that arrogance is kind of like the safety net for the athlete or artist, right? But in team sports, that kind of ego and arrogance is probably gonna what's hurt the team. You know, how many like Kobe and Shaq, how many teams get broken up because of ego problem? How many bands get broken up? Basically all of them. Basically 100% of bands break up because of ego problem.
Exactly.
So there's a give and take with that, and this leads me to my rant about musicians, is that you know how, like, with comedians, we don't really have to audition for other people. We don't really need to count on other people. Like actors is all about collaborating with other, because rarely do you act alone and whatever, right? So actors, musicians, we rely on other people a lot, and that's when the ego and the arrogance and the overconfidence can really hurt the process and the collaborations. Like what I see with musicians is that they think they're the best in the world, and I get that, but then sometimes they expect other people to be the best in the world without being any good themselves. That's when I have the biggest pet peeve. Like I would send my shit to like my samples and my recordings to bands and stuff, and they're like, oh, this is great, and I was like, oh, do you have anything to send me? And they send me back something, and it's just kind of like a live recording of a jam or whatever, and then they'll say stuff like, oh, we're kind of looking for like a Freddie Mercury type singer. Like, really? Like, oh, we're just this fun and like a soft blues rock lounge music band. Like we want like Steven Tyler type, like a Freddie, you know what I mean?
Freddie Mercury. We just want someone who's kind of like one of
the greatest of all time.
Pretty much.
We don't think your voice is really what we're going for. We kind of want a Corey Taylor. We kind of want Freddie Mercury. We kind of want a Prince. Like we kind of like, what? Like, okay, sure. Like, are you Aerosmith? I'm looking for Queen. Do you have any? It's
exactly.
like it's so
funny.
frustrating.
I was looking for like Brian May on guitar. So
exactly. I kind of want someone to sound like Tom Morello or like The Edge. Or like Jimmy Page. Do you know a Jimmy Page that I can like work with? Like, just such a. It's just like. Drives me up the wall.
You kind of need some people to like sound shitty with together for a while.
Exactly. It's almost like they especially with singers, they just expect singers to be great. You know. It's so hard to sing. Like, I don't know if anybody knows or anybody tries singing, but it's not easy.
I've tried doing karaoke and I'm dog shit at it, so I can testify to like.
It's so much talent. But I'm so
bad
much
for
work.
like I'm bad for like even the karaoke crowd. Like when we went, my ex, we went for karaoke for her birthday, and I was one of the worst singers there. Except I crushed Gangsta's Paradise by Coolio because
you know all the words.
Yeah, because I know all the words and it doesn't require actual singing. So you just kind of need to, and especially when like a Caucasian in his mid-30s like puts on the swag and crushes Gangsta's Paradise. A lot of it's just shock value for people. So
like that's why like I feel like. I feel a little disrespected when people say that, because like they don't understand. Like I totally respect when a guitarist is really good, or even if it's not really good, because playing guitar is hard. It hurts your fingers like a motherfucker, and it's just a long, grueling process to get even okay. And hitting bends the right way, like bending a note so that it hits from one note and you bend it right to the other one without missing and without sounding off. That takes a lot of time and practice.
You're talking about some shit I don't understand now, but I believe that it takes a lot of work.
It's just it takes a lot of, like, we will not just look at jiu-jitsu fighters and say that, oh, they're just rolling around, they don't know what they're doing, right? It's a lot of subtlety and it's a lot of details that to the untrained eye, it's just not that obvious. So to a lot of untrained singers, you say, well, just hit it, just sing like man. Just sing like Freddie. We're looking for a Freddie, so just like what?
What's the hard part? Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what drives me up the wall, and that's why I think I'm just gonna do this solo and save myself a lot of
fair enough. Just keep on practicing and doing your thing. We're kind of like coming up to the end of the second recording capacity of my camera. So you got anything that people want to know before we jet?
Just you put my Instagram tag.
Yeah.
I'm also on YouTube now, and I'm getting quite a bit of a few followers and likes and stuff now. So you can follow Scorpiano Music on YouTube as well if you like, and check out some of my awesome covers of some of the people I look up to.
There we go. Yeah. That works. I'm just gonna keep on doing my thing. I think, like I was trying to say before, I'm probably won't do the Whalers this Monday, but there's a place called Enemies open mic on the Danforth. I even forget, it's like at Rivals Sports Bar, I think next Wednesday I'll probably go hit that, so next week I might be at that open mic if anyone in Toronto.
Do they have restrictions? Like, do they have you can't swear or stuff like that? Or
not as far as I know. I haven't been there before, so I don't know much about it because I haven't been. And of course, if you haven't been before as a supporter, I might even show up next week, write my name down and get bumped, because sometimes that happens when it's your first week showing up somewhere. So
how much time do you get? 3 minutes, 5 minutes?
Probably 4 or 5, whatever, from what I understand. I've got a 4 or 5 that I can do without looking at phone or notes right now. So I'll go hit that if I can. If I write my name down the list and I get bumped, then I'll just be checking it out like everyone else. If this goes up before Sunday, I'll give my buddy's band a plug. Copper Crown and Piff Break Arcade playing at Lee's Palace on Saturday the 2nd. So if this podcast hits the airwaves before then, go check that out. That'll be a bit of fun, playing with some Montreal bands and somewhere else and bands from other places that I don't know much about. But yeah, check it out. Should be good. Marcus, always a pleasure.
Never a chore.
Yeah.